The offer seemed too good to be true. Osaro said even if Mr. Lawson was going to pay for them, at least they needed money of their own to pay some little bills and prepare for the journey ahead. He said that they needed new clothes and other accessories to actually go on that journey. Nosa nodded in the affirmative and said he was right. And Nosaro told him that I barely have enough savings to even do that. Nosa looked at him for a long time and said, do not worry, I have a plan. Nosa told Osaro that the amount required for the travel was far beyond what they could hope to earn from their daily work at the market. As desperation set in, Nosa proposed a plan that would test the limit of their morality. There was a wealthy trader at the market, Manambako, who was a major distributor in the market. Nosa told Osaro that Manambako always took all the monies he sold daily to the bank except on Fridays, that all the sales made over the weekend was kept in a safe inside the store till Monday before taking to the bank. Osaro asked him how he knew so much, and Nosa said he has been working with him for long. Nosa said that they will go there over the weekend to steal some of the money to embark on the trip. It was easy to convince Osaro, who was already very determined. Malam Bako had always been kind to him, often giving him extra money for his services and even providing food when he knew he was struggling. The thought of betraying someone who was showing him so much kindness was unbearable. But Osaro, hardened by the years of mistreatment and survival on the street, saw it differently. No, sir, we don't have a choice, he argued. This is our own chance to get out of here. That money could save your grandmother and get us to Europe. We can't let this opportunity slip away. Musa struggled with the decision, torn between his loyalty to the trader and the desperate need to save his family. He couldn't bear to watch his grandmother suffer any longer, and the thought of a better life for him and his sister pushed him to the edge. Finally, Musa agreed to the plan. The night of the haste, they waited until the market was deserted and the streets were quiet. The darkness of the night mirrored the darkness they felt in their souls as they approached the trader's store. They wore masks to disguise their identity. Osaro broke the lock on the door and they slipped inside. The store was small but well kept, with shelves stocked with goods. The safe was in the back room, just as Nosa has predicted. They walked quickly, knowing that time was not on their side. When they finally cracked the safe, Nosa's heart sank. Inside were stacks of naira notes, more money than he had ever seen in his life. The realization of what they were doing hit him like a punch, but it was too late to turn back. They took only what they needed, leaving the rest behind. As they left the store, Nosa couldn't shake the feeling that they had crossed the line from which there was no return. As they were about leaving, they heard a shout. The voice asked, "Who is that?" Then they realized it was the market securities. Osaro shouted to Nosa, "Let's run." The two security men armed with ding guns gave them a chase. Nosa and Osaro ran very fast through the forest path and hid in a safe path. The security men searched but couldn't find them. When they got home, they counted the money and it was a whopping 74,000 naira. They had never seen that kind of money all their lives. The money was more than enough to treat his grandmother and embark on the journey. The next day, news of the robbery spread through the market like wildfire. Malam Bako was devastated. Nosa and Osaro pretended to be surprised at the news. Deep down, Nosa felt very guilty, but he had no option. The security men gave their own account of the story and the effort they made, but that the thieves were professionals. With the money in their hand, Nosa and Osaro met with Mr. Lawson a few days later. True to his words, he had made all arrangements for their journey. The plan was to travel by road through the northern part of the country, through Niger Republic, across the Sahara Desert, into northern Africa, and from there find a passage to Europe. Before their departure day, Nosa took his grandmother to the hospital in the city and paid 1,200 naira, which was the hospital bill. He asked Tobe to stay with her in the hospital and gave one of the nurses money for their upkeep. On the morning of their departure, Nosa and Osaro packed their bags and met with Mr. Lawson at New Bini Park. Mr. Lawson was impressed to see them again. He already made arrangements with a transporter. As they climbed into the bus, Nosa knew this was the beginning of a new phase in his life. Osaro already made up his mind and was ready to damn the consequences. Throughout the journey from Benin to the north, Mr. Lawson treated them well, buying them food at times and drinks at intervals. They were overwhelmed with his kindness. After traveling for like 17 hours, they got to their destination. They were so tired and hungry. That night, Mr. Lawson took them to the house of one of his influential colleagues, Alhaji Tanko. They were welcomed and treated well. They were very tired and they quickly fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Osaro woke up to ease himself when he overheard a discussion in the living room. It was Mr. Lawson and Alhaji Tanko haggling over price. "I can't sell these boys for 2,000 naira. The last I will do is 3,500 naira for each." Osaro was shocked to his bones. That was when he realized that Mr. Lawson, who they thought was nice and benevolent, was just a human trafficker. Alhaji Tanko finally agreed to pay 3,000 for each of them. Osaro pretended he heard nothing. Immediately he returned to the room. He woke Nosa up and told him all he has heard. Instantly, they decided to escape, even though they knew nowhere. They escaped that night and ran away. It was in the morning that Alhaji Tanko knew that the boys he paid for were no more. Nosa and Osaro, determined to continue with their journey, boarded a bus to Niger Republic. When they arrived in Niger, they met a man, Usman, who promised to help them, but this time they were very skeptical. When they arrived at Agadez in Niger Republic, they were already very tired. Usman told them that they would have to travel through the Sahara Desert. The thought was scary. They met with other people with the same ambition, and together they traveled through the desert. Nosa and Osaro regretted their decisions to embark on such journey, as in their presence they saw people die and even saw human skulls and evidence of how terrible the route was. On their fourth day, they were arrested by the border patrol. The Arabian soldiers tortured them very well. They both wished they never embarked on this journey. On the 10th day, an Arabian girl called Nadia, who has seen how they have been tortured, had some pity on them and decided to help them escape. She promised to help them get to the seashore to cross over to Europe, but on one condition, that they would take her along, since she couldn't go back for the fear of being attacked by those soldiers. Nadia too was a victim of circumstance who was ready to tell her story at the right time. As Nosa and Osaro and Nadia journeyed towards the Mediterranean coast, their bond grew stronger. They were united by their shared experience of hardship and desperation, each of them dreaming of a better life on the other side of the sea. Nadia, despite her own sufferings, remained determined to help the boys escape, her resilience shining through even in the darkest moments. The night they reached the coast, the air was thick with tension. They knew that the final leg of their journey would be the most perilous. They had secured passage on a small overcrowded boat, one of many that attempted the treacherous crossing to Europe. As they boarded the vessel, Nosa felt a knot in his stomach. The sea was calm, but the journey ahead was fraught with danger. The boat set off under the cover of darkness, the sound of the motor blending with the soft lapping of the waves. Hours passed in silence, each person lost in their own thoughts, praying for a safe passage. But as dawn broke, the weather turned. The once calm sea began to swell, and soon they were caught in a violent storm. Waves crashed against the boat and the panic spread among the passengers. Nusa held on to Osaro and Nadia, determined not to let go. The boat rocked violently, water pouring in from all sides. Amidst this chaos, they heard a loud crack. The boat was breaking apart. In the confusion, Nusa lost sight of Nadia. He called out her name, but the roar of the storm drowned out his voice. Osaro tried to help him search, but it was a futility. The cold water shocked Nusa's system, but he forced himself to swim, holding on to Osaro as they struggled to stay afloat. The storm raged on, but eventually the sea began to calm. They clung to a piece of the wreckage, praying that help would come. Hours passed before they were finally rescued by a passing ship. Exhausted and heartbroken, Nusa and Osaro were pulled aboard, but Nadia was nowhere to be found. The reality of her loss hit them hard. She had given everything to help them, and now she was gone. The ship brought them to the shores of Europe, where they were taken to a refugee camp. The next few months was a blow of uncertainty and hardship. The boys faced countless challenges as they navigated life in a foreign land, but they refused to give up. They took on any work they could find, from odd jobs to menial labor, slowly building a new life for themselves. Nusa often thought about Nadia, the girl who sacrificed so much for them. Her memory gave him strength, reminding him of the kindness and resilience that had carried them this far. Despite the odds, Nusa and Osaro found a way to survive. They made connections within the refugee community, learned the language, and eventually found stable jobs. Though life in Europe was far from easy, it was a new beginning, a chance to build the future they had dreamt of. Years later, Nusa and Osaro had managed to save enough money to bring Nusa's sister and grandmother to Europe. The reunion was bittersweet, marked by the absence of Nadia, whose sacrifice had made it all possible. Despite the trials they faced, they found a way to honor those who had been lost along the way, ensuring that their journey had not been in vain. Someday we will send Malambako what we stole from him, Nusa said.